Well, more now on Trump leading Biden by 4 points among Latinos in the NBC Marist poll of Florida voters. It's a demographic that went for Hillary Clinton in 2016 by 27 points. Trump's lead over Biden in that poll is sizable among Latinos of Cuban descent, whereas Biden is just slightly ahead among all other Latinos in the state. And another poll out of Florida shows a similar trend. In the Ben Dixon Amandi International Miami Herald poll out of Miami-Dade County, Biden leads among non-Cuban Hispanics by 26 points, 58 to 32%. However, among Cubans, President Trump has a 38-point edge, 68 to 30%.
So we've seen in 2016 and 2018 Cuban Americans making a huge difference in how elections turn out, with a majority going for Donald Trump in 2016 and actually not enough Cuban Americans going for the Democratic candidates for governor and senator, and allowing Republicans to really go against the tide in 2018. So, Victoria, as we talk about these polls that are causing Democrats to flinch nationwide this morning in Florida, a couple of things. Yes, Cuban Americans are put off, especially put off by socialist policies, by the fear that Joe Biden, if elected, will implement policies influenced by people like Bernie Sanders and AOC. That's certainly what the Trump campaign has been pushing. But also, man, nothing works like work. And Donald Trump has been working hard, advertising nonstop in the Cuban American community for some time. And that hard work, surprise, surprise, is paying off dividends right now. Joe Biden has not worked hard down there in the Hispanic communities and the Cuban American communities yet. And I think we're seeing the result of that, at least in these two polls.
And they should indeed be flinching, Joe. Democrats should absolutely be flinching at these numbers. I mean, look, the Cuban numbers are not surprising. We know that Republicans have always had a very strong base with Cuban voters. However, we've seen that base grow under Donald Trump. He has cultivated that vote over the last 4 years. And as you pointed out, Joe, he has been putting in the work. The Trump campaign has been up in Florida with TV ads, with digital ads for at least 2 months, with Biden coming, I would say, 6 weeks later than that. So that matters. But what I have my eye on, and what I think Democrats should really be worried about, is the non-Cubans. So if we remember, in 2016, Hillary Clinton won non-Cuban Latinos 71 to 26%. So what's happening there? What's happening with the Puerto Rican voters who are traditionally more Democratic and who have been growing in huge numbers as a result of Puerto Ricans migrating over from the island because of the economic downturn, because of the hurricanes? They are ripe for the picking in terms of getting them registered to vote and bringing over to the Democratic side. But these polls aren't showing that. So I think that what we're seeing here is twofold. The Trump campaign building out its Cuban base very healthily, something that Obama had chipped into in 2008 and 2012. And at the same time, I'm seeing that the Trump campaign is also picking up some non-Cuban Latinos. I'm thinking, the diaspora of folks who've come throughout Latin America, your Venezuelans, your Nicaraguans, also probably picking off some Puerto Ricans. This is going to be very worrisome as we get down to the home stretch of the election, because there isn't going to be that much more time to mobilize these voters, register to vote and turn out, because it's also a mobilization game. So this is something that Democrats should have their hair on fire about. Absolutely.
Yeah, and Willie, the mistake, and we've been saying it on this show for many years now, the mistake that Democrats have made for some time is, a lot of Democrats have made for some time, progressive Democrats especially, is the assumption that all Hispanics, all Latinos are the same, other than Cuban Americans, that they all vote the same, that they all think. It's just not true. like black voters in South Carolina and across the Deep South, and really across America, proved in the Democratic primary this year, they are far more conservative with a small c than some of the more woke elements, the white woke elements of the National Democratic Party, as Reverend Al calls them, latte liberals. So this message that Donald Trump's team is sending not only to Cuban Americans, but also to new voters that are coming in from Puerto Rico and across Latin America, that Joe Biden is going to be implementing socialist policies. You know, that is a very persuasive argument if you're a new arrival from Venezuela, or if you're a new arrival from Nicaragua, or if you're a Cuban American. And that's something that the Trump campaign understands. And it's something that Democrats have missed for a very long time. Nothing against Bernie Sanders, but Sanders' brand of socialist policies does not play well among a lot of Latinos. Well, at least in the general election. I know he did well in the Democratic race, but not in general elections, especially in Florida.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.